So this is the picture we're going to tackle today, these two little boats. And for this picture I'm going to be using the Moody Views 14 half pastel set. This is called the Sky Plus set because it's got the square Conte black. This is a different make of pastel to the others. It's slightly harder and it's what we use for the base of the trees. These other pastels here, the ones we use for the sky, they are Rembrandt pastels. They are soft, medium soft, but they are 100% non-toxic. That is very important. I'm also going to be using this set of 18 super soft Caran d'Ache pastel pencils, and the reason I use these is because I'm using the pastel pencil into a layer of pastel that's underneath, a layer of soft pastel. And a hard pastel pencil you will find will scratch through the underlayer of pastel back to the bare paper, whereas the soft pigment in these pastels will sit on the top and allow me to put in all the fine detail. This set of pastel pencils, there are lots of further colours in the set. This is a set that I made up myself from the much larger range, and is available through the Moody Views website. The other items you'll see me use in this little video is a colour shaper. This is a number 6 soft colour shaper used for blending really small areas. When we come to do the back of the boat there, you'll see me use this. It's an area that's too big to blend with a finger. And this is a double-ended eraser. You've got a harder end and a softer end. Very good for erasing pastel. Okay, so this paper is Canson Meton. It's a French-made paper, 160 gram, 50% cotton. So it's quite tough, but it's got a very, very fine texture in the surface. You can get lots of blending without making your fingers sore. And it's the relationship between this tooth in this paper and these pastels that I use that help me to create these lovely soft images. If you used a really soft pastel, you would end up filling the tooth of this paper up too quickly. But the slightly harder pastel that I use allows me to get plenty of pastel in there without clogging that tooth up too quickly. The paper is taped along the top and the bottom edges. I haven't done the sides, it's only an A4 piece of paper, and my board is propped at an angle just to allow any excess pastel dust to drift down. So I'm going to start this picture with some pale purple, pale blue violet into the lower sky area. So I'm using the side of the pastel stick. I'm not pressing extremely hard, just sort of medium pressure, and you'll see that as I'm putting this colour on, there are still patches of bare paper showing through. At this stage that's fine, we'll worry about that later. All these colours that are in the sky will be reflected in the water down here, so I'm adding the same colours at the bottom. I'm not too worried if I go over the boats, because we can always take it off with the double-ended eraser that I showed you just now. So we'll have that colour. I'm trying to get this sort of misty-ish look to the sky. So I've laid that colour in quite the way across it. I'm now going to come in with some darker blue violet at the top here. I'm going to bring that colour down a little way. So these colours are kind of mixing up on the paper. And I'm going to put a little hint of pink just into that area there for now. We'll go back and we'll intensify that in a minute. When we blend these colours down, they will all mix up and they will dull down a little bit. So we can go back and build that up in a minute. So I'm going to put a tiny touch of yellow into that as well, just in there. Okay, so I'm going to start to blend this from this area here, from the lighter area, and gradually work outwards. Now you can do it with your fingertips You can see there the using the 2 fingertips in circles, and you're going to press sort of fairly hard to get this initial layer to blend in, working it all in. Now when I'm blending it there, it has gone over those boats. That's not a problem. Just work that in. This is going to give us a nice underpainting that we can work back into and build up. Okay, so that's smoothed all that out. There are 1 or 2 little bare patches here and there, but we're gonna sort them out now. So I'm going back to the colour I started with, the lighter of the blue violets. Just through that area, and now the darker. So this is distant clouds, way back in the distance. So I'm just leaving this little light area in the sky here. Just darken that up at the top again. Now I'm going to bring into that a little violet colour now. It's a sort of pinky red, just a hint of that kind of glow in the distant sky there. This is the focal point of the picture here. So this is where I'm trying to get that little bit of colour, that little bit of warmth. And I'm going to mix a tiny touch of yellow with that. Just in there. So again, I'm going to blend from the lighter area. Only this time you don't need to press anywhere near as hard. We're now blending into a layer of pastel rather than bare paper. So you don't need to press anywhere near as hard. But I'm still doing it in little circles. Just work away. I'm not going to go back into that now. Out to the edges here, and out to the edges over here. Just bring that colour back across. Okay, a couple of little patches that are bare at the very top there. And just a little hint of more colour in the distance back there. Just distant cloud shapes. And perhaps a little tiny touch more of that pink. And we're just about done with the sky. There we go. Just got some little shapes that are just hinted at in the distance there. And I'm going to pop into this area now, a kind of just a little watery sun. And I'm just going to use the white pastel pencil for that. Just about here. Don't want to make it too big or too bright. So having put it in, it's now quite bright there. I'm just going to put my finger around it and soften it off a little bit. And then using that white pastel pencil, I'm just going to pick up on a few of those little cloud edges, just lightly, and just soften them off a touch so they're not too strong. That's all we need there. While I've got that white in my hand, I'm just going to brighten those up a little bit more. That's better. Okay, so for the horizon line of the sea, I'm going to use some masking tape, the same tape I've used to stick the picture to the board. Now the tape will not stick to your picture where you've got pastel, so you have to bring your tape across your picture and stick it onto the board either side. Obviously it needs to be level, so I'm just going to run my finger along there and make sure that's pushed down so there's no gap underneath of it. And I'm going to use some pastel and put the pastel on the tape, so it's the bottom of the tape that will be the horizon line. So I'm going to put some white underneath where my sun is in the sky there. Pressing fairly hard, I want to get quite a bit of colour onto there. And then some of the pink that we've put in the sky, that's going to overlap that white. And then out to the edges, out here, I want it dark. So I'm using the darker of the violets, the blue violets. Same one we used in the sky. Plenty of colour on there. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put my finger horizontally across here. I'm going to pour that colour from the tape to the bottom of the picture. And what will happen is this pastel, as it mixes with the colour that's already here, it will gradually fade. But you've got to pull it all the way, and you've got to pull it straight. It's got to go straight down. Pull that all the way. And then just gently give it a bit of a smooth, horizontal smooth. Okay, I'm going to take my white pastel pencil and I'm going to use it so that the point, the actual white part here, is flat to the paper. And I'm going to drag it very lightly, horizontally, across the picture. So what's happening there is the pastel is just picking up on the little bumps in the tooth of the paper. So the colours that are blended, the sky colours that are blended there, will come through it because they're down in the little hollows, the little dips. So you get this kind of shimmer on the water, but the paper is doing it for you. And don't blend it. If you blend it, you'll take all that lovely sparkle away. Okay, so now we can carefully take the tape off, because it doesn't stick to your picture. What we need to do now is to remove the pastel that's on the boat, or the boats. So just work that in, and it just lifts the pastel off, taking it back to bare paper. These can be sharpened in a normal pencil sharpener. This one could do with a sharpen as well. Okay, so I'm going to start the boats with the highlight of the white, which is just around this top edge, and the same on this one. And I'm going to put a little bit of white into the side there as a highlight. And then I'm going to come in with the 300 orange. What I need to do is to put a little touch of white just on the back edge here and here. This is to help retain the shape of the boats. If we make the back of the boat here the same colour or tone as the side of the boat here, we will lose that shape. It would all be one. So this little area of light that I'm adding onto the back of the boat will just help that to stand out. So back to the orange. And I'm going to come from this side as well. From the orange I'm going to the mid brown, the warmer brown. This is the 047. So I'm coming from the dark across to the light. Then I'm going to do the same here from the dark area towards the little highlight, and then we've got a little darker bit just there, and the same on this boat. Coming back across there and down into here. And then from there I'm going to go to the very dark brown. This is the 408. Notice how the direction of the pencil stroke follows the contours, the way the timbers would go. I've just covered up that white a little bit just there. I'll pop that back in. Of course, this is the good thing about working in pastel, is you've got this freedom to correct things. Okay, so I'm going to go to the colour shaper and I'm going to blend these colours together. I'm pulling the colour across from the dark to the light, just letting them mix. Okay. I'm going to go to the black, which is the 009. I'm going to darken the inside of the boat here. And the same on this one. And then pick out that shape there. and add in a few timber lines. Nice and dark under there, it's all in shadow under there. A little bit of cast shadow as well. And I'm going to put a tiny little highlight just into here. Just darken that a touch there. Right, so now we're going to do the shingle beneath these two boats. I think first I'm just going to put a little hint of the sky colours, just strengthen that reflection a little bit into here. It's all sort of wet mud down there, so I'm just hinting at the sky colour being reflected in it. And there's that little flash of yellow as well just above here, so we could hint at that as well. Just in there. And a tiny touch of white as well. Okay, I'm just going to put my finger on, and this time I'm going to pull this just downwards like this, as it's a reflection, just lightly. Okay, so we'll start the shingle. I'm going to work from the lighter colours towards the darker colours in this. I'm going to begin with the lighter of the browns, same one I used in the boat here, and it's the same technique that I used to do the sparkle on the water. So the point of the pencil is flat to the paper, very light touch. So although I'm gradually coming down here at an angle, each stroke is horizontal. And I'm going to come back in this side. What I'm doing is I'm leaving a little pathway into my picture there. So that's the 047. Now I'm going to switch to the darker brown, which is the 408. Same technique, pencil on its side. This is how this texture is being created. This is the grain or the tooth of the paper. The lighter colours, the sky colours, are blended and are down in the little dips and hollows. By dragging that flat, the dark colour is sitting on the tops, and it allows the undercolour to come through, giving this lovely textured feel to the foreground. I'm going to use a little bit of deep red. This is the 089. Just hinting at it. And finally I'm going to go to the black and make it quite dark underneath these little boats. And quite dark down in here. A little bit of rope. And I'm going to put a mooring buoy in there. This is what this this boat is tied up to. And a little hint of reflection of that underneath. And I'm just going to pick out a few little stones just on these edges. I need to pop a few seagulls into the sky, which means I need to rest my hand on the picture. So in order to make sure that I don't smudge anything, I'm just going to rest a sheet of glassine on here, and I'm just going to pop in some very small seagulls just to finish it off. Bring a little hint of that sun. We've got that lovely bit of sun just there, so we'll just try and pick up a little hint of that. And with that, I think we're just about done. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again. Thank you very much.